Thank you for joining Sports Development Series. Yours truly, Boma Ekiora.
Tournaments and women's qualifying for the youth tournaments and the women's tournaments into regional competitions. And a lot of people are arguing that that's not putting forth the best quality, the best countries, because traditionally speaking, the West African teams have always dominated the youth team, the under 17, under 20s, and the women's football in Africa, where you have the likes of Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, and although Cameroon is not necessarily West Africa, but for all intents and purposes, they are. Those typically are the strongest teams on the continent, and then South Africa joins in, and maybe Zambia and a bunch of other countries pull up the rear. Equatorial Guinea is one couple. But now with CAF's new system, they have the zones qualification in the zone. So now West African teams have to all battle each other, and only one or two will come out of that. The argument is that for CAF is that it's helping to develop all the other parts of the continent, and whether youth or women's football. But the corollary to that argument is that we're not putting forth our best teams to the World Cup, because these competitions, the under 17, under 20, AFCONs, and the WAFCON, are the qualifications for the World Cup. Hence, for the first time, we see a country like Zambia qualifying for the World Cup. Not a bad team. I'm not saying they are. Senegal. And although now, because the Women's World Cup has increased to 32 slots, Africa has a possibility of having two more teams qualify through a intercontinental playoff. But be that as it may, one thing I would say watching this tournament, which I did follow quite a bit, is that the standard of play in the women's game has improved. It's nowhere near the European standard. I know England is celebrating today having beaten Spain in the quarterfinals in a game that went extra time, and it was quality football, especially from the Spaniards. But the standard of play has gotten better. Nigeria has always won the tournament. I believe we won 9 out of 11, but they did win the semifinals against Morocco under what some people call dubious circumstances, when they had 2 players sent off. If you ask me, I'll say they deservedly were sent off, but they showed a lot of valiance by hanging on for an hour with 9 women to at least take the game to penalty shootouts, where they ended up losing. The finals is between South Africa and Morocco, the host country. The Moroccans, they're being coached by an ex. I'm sorry?
When is that game?
That game will be on Saturday. I believe it's on Saturday. It's on Saturday. I think the Moroccans are being coached by an ex-coach of Lyon, and he's a former. He won 2 Champions Leagues in the European Champions Leagues with Lyon in the past. So they actually invested in their program, and you can see the quality of their play is top notch. Perhaps they just don't have the finishing, which they should have buried Nigeria, quite frankly, at being playing a man 2 women up for 60 minutes in extra time. But South Africa has a pretty decent team also, but these teams are not really at the level of what I'm seeing in the European game. But having said that, the quality of play in Africa has definitely gotten up. I would say we need to give more attention to the women's game overall. Yeah, not just in Nigeria.
No, I agree. I think we've talked about this before, especially in Nigeria. When you just mentioned the number of trophies and the number of AFCONs for women, and how many they've won, compare that to the men, it's night and day. They've won more trophies. And I think we've talked about this, about them being arguably the most successful African team, period, in terms of championships they've won and how they've qualified and what they've done. And, it's a shame.
How do Nigeria's women team do in the World Cup? Generally, because I'm assuming they get there quite often.
So they've been to every single World Cup and have only made the quarterfinals once, unfortunately. Okay. So the victories in Africa doesn't really translate, and that's really the big issue. And some of that is just exposure also. The women are starting to become more exposed, but now the women are playing all over. You have a lady like Asisat Oshoala, who has been a 4-time African Women's Player of the Year, and I think the current one. She plays for Barcelona. And with Barcelona was just in the finals of the Women's Champions League just this last. I think they lost to Lyon again, but she was the top scorer in the league, and she missed about 6 to 8 weeks of that league due to injury. Of course, she's playing with the best players in the world. So, in fact, speaking of just that, there's often this conversation that Asisat doesn't really replicate her form in club level.
Watching
on the national
Nigeria.
team, when she comes to the national team, and
Yeah.
that actually she actually got injured in the very first game of this competition. And a lot of people tell you that Nigeria looked a lot better when she was gone than when she was there playing, because oftentimes they want to lump the ball to her at every given opportunity. Play was a little more coordinated, but I'll say maybe with the margins being so fine in the semifinals, we truly miss her.
Yeah, you know the thing is, when you look at that Nigerian team, I haven't seen any other games recently, but overall, like what you were saying, like Mike just mentioned that they got to the quarterfinals. Our men have never gotten to the quarterfinals, right? So even on that level, they've achieved more than our men. So when you look at the Nigerian game, they need to allocate more resources, more money, better training of coaches for the women, because they've definitely shown that with the limited resources they have, with the cultural factors, Mohammed, and I know you know what I'm talking about. They've, despite all of that, they've been able to do what they've done. And that speaks volumes. Yeah, it speaks volumes, man. They definitely need to get more money to them, need to give them more support, and need to help them grow. To transition here, there was something Mike and I have debated on this platform, which is the number of teams that go to the World Cup for men. They're trying to Mike's laughing. They're trying to increase the number of teams in Africa.
Well, I don't even care how many teams are in the World Cup. Just give us more African teams, bro. There's no excuse that a continent that has 13 countries in South America should have 4 teams in the World Cup, but a country with 52 countries have only 5. Do you know how ridiculous it is that teams like Ivory Coast don't even get to the final qualifying stage? And it makes no sense, bro. It makes no sense.
Yeah, Mohammed, this is an argument, a conversation that we've had and rehashed, and I don't know that we have.
Thank you for joining Sports Development Series. We yours truly, Boma Ekiora.